Wow, this is what you call the last minute crowd. Where are my friends? They're going to end up being late. I know, and my friends aren't here yet. Thank you. Yeah, we've got a lot of people coming in. Thank you.
Testing all the microphones.
What do our numbers say?
Yeah. What's that?
Yes.
Who are these two who just came in here on the left? All those people you know? Yeah, they must be people we know. Good morning, folks. We are about to start. Since we have some folks here who are fairly new, I'd like to tell you, I know you're listening, I'd like to tell you that if you flip 7 pages in our hymnal, you find the UU principles, in case that's of interest to you. And I tell you that early in the service in the hopes that by the time you get to my sermon, you're done with that reading. But it's the 7th page, the UU 7 principles. So take a look. We're about to begin. Aren't we, Jackie? Let's let her.
Is this on? Hello? It's on low. I know it's different. Can you hear me? Okay. Hello, can anybody hear me?
Karina's right there.
Oh. Would you like me to use the other mic that actually amplifies? Oh, okay, okay. In that case, I would like to start with a prayer written by one of the Roach sisters, Susie and Maggie Roach in New York City. They were supposed to release their album on 9/11. It kept getting pushed forward, and one of the girls was walking the dog and turned on 9th Avenue and saw this plane coming towards the building and was moved to write this and then add it to their little album. And it's called Can't Hear Nobody Pray.
Well, I couldn't hear nobody pray. I couldn't hear nobody pray. I couldn't hear nobody pray. I was way down yonder by myself, and I couldn't hear nobody pray. Well, I couldn't hear nobody pray. Oh, I couldn't hear nobody pray. Oh, way down by myself, and I couldn't hear nobody pray. Lord, have mercy. Nobody pray. I couldn't hear nobody call you mercy. Couldn't hear nobody call you mercy. Couldn't hear nobody praying. Couldn't hear nobody praying. I couldn't hear nobody praying.
Back to reality. And the name of the album is called Zero Church. The entire album is great. Written by different people, from the world at different times, and it just
Okay. Thank you, Jackie. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Treasure Coast Unitarian Universal Congregation in Stuart, Florida. Today is January 23rd, 2022. My name is Ronnie Dembowski, and I am your worship associate today. We are happy to have our own Rev Bob MacDonald in the pulpit today. I'd like to give a big thanks to those who helped with the service. Jackie Robbins for the music, our Zoom host, Karina Poloni, who is always back in that closet, the poor woman, and Chris McGann, who is our tech whiz, and he's usually in the closet if he's here too. The greeters, the ushers, and our hospitality, Joanne and Margarita, for the cookies and water that we'll have after the service. And we have a whole bunch of new people coming in. I guess we won't wait for them though. We are a welcoming congregation. We welcome people of all gender identities, races, ages, and backgrounds. It is wonderful to see all our vaccinated members and guests in the sanctuary today. We are also on YouTube, wherever you are. Hi. Hello, and glad you're watching. To be put on our mailing list to find out more information about us, please go to our website at tcuu.org. You'll get announcements in our Friday newsletter online. We would like to welcome any visitors that are here today. And we would also love it if you felt comfortable and wanted to come up to the mic and introduce yourselves. If not, that's fine too. And would anybody like to come up to the mic and introduce themselves? No. Well, I happen to have two friends here and two more out in the lobby still, so I'm going to introduce them. Keep standing. Tony and Lou Rader from Jupiter. They probably got the bridge and were a little late. And there's two other friends out there. I don't know where they are. Bev and John, they'll be coming in a minute. They had a long ride. They're from North Palm. Welcome, and welcome to everybody else that's here that might be a visitor. We're glad to see your faces. There are a few announcements that I will tell you about that we have every week. One is that we meet twice a week, the first and third Tuesdays, for a brown bag lunch at Stewart Memorial Park in downtown Stewart. You bring your lunch, bring a chair, and come and be with us. It's a lot of fun. We also have a book club, and I don't know what they're reading right now, but they meet on Wednesdays at 11 o'clock on Zoom. And you can get more information about that during it's during water hour now. Right? Bob MacDonald, our Reverend, will light the chalice as I say a few chalice lighting words. For this 1 hour, may we let go of our anxieties, our fears, our self-doubts, our regrets, our petty grievances, our distractions. If only for this 1 hour, let the flame of this chalice burn them from our hearts and minds, and light our way to peace and serenity for this one holy hour. Paul Stephen Dauphinal. My opening words come from this book that I found in the storage closet, Spiritual Fitness by Tom Owens Powell. Significance. As long as there have been humans, we have searched for a place in the cosmos. We are where we are, who we are. We find that we live in an insignificant planet of a humdrum star lost in the galaxy, tucked away in some forgotten corner of the universe. We make our world significant by the courage of our questions and by the depth of our answers. Carl Sagan. This is from the author of the book now. We humans dread not death, but extinction without significance. What matters to us is that we count. As Thoreau said, it's not enough just to be good. We need to be good for something. We make our world significance by the courage of our questions and by the depth of our answers. Some of our questions are flimsy and foolish. Let us bring courage to our queries. Some of our answers are shallow and trite. Let us risk depth in our responses. Some words for thought. Now we will do our first hymn, number 26 in the hymnal, and it will be displayed on the board here. Holy, 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 3 verses. everybody for singing through your mask, which I forgot to tell you. But that's okay, right? Okay. Now, we will now recite our affirmation, speaking the first verse through our masks, and then singing the second verse through our masks. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Is it a metaphor this morning that we have a well-attended middle and a well-attended my left, and only Jackie is on the right?
And Bud.
And Bud.
Sort of.
Bless you, my right friends. No metaphor in that. This is our time to be serious, you can tell. We share matters of joy, sorrow, concern, in the hope that as we know important things about each other, we're more connected and we're supportive. So we invite people to come to the mic or stand in place and tell us what joy or sorrow or concern you have this morning. We ask you to be brief and we ask you to keep it personal. And I think you will understand that. I'm sure you do. Anyway, who wants something to share?
Hi, I'm Fred Dembowski. This is my lovely wife, Ronnie. My joy today is that Ronnie has had 2 eye surgeries within the last couple of months, and I'm happy to say that her eyes are doing very well. However, she just told me after her last doctor's visit that the doctor said I've got to give her a full body massage every night. And that's really a lot of work.
Does anybody else have a personal and serious matter to share?
Hi, I'm Jackie Robbins, and today I had my first actual contract to play music with the Palm Beach Opera, which is, since March 13th, 2020. I've been just sort of a floating musician, which gave me time to come here and help out since March of this year. But I'm really happy because I love playing good music with fine musicians, and Carmen is the opera. So it's a war horse, but there's a brand new singer from New York. It's her debut, and I'm excited to make music and get paid well.
Judy.
I've been up here lately with concerns about my brother and my cousin passed away, and his mother who is delicate, this, that, and the other one. My brother is home from the hospital. He doesn't need to rush out to Salt Lake City anymore to help my cousin out there who lost her son. And I forgot to mention a joy related to all of this. There are 2 women in the neighborhood where Mark, my cousin who passed away, lived. And one of them was a close friend, and the other was just a neighbor that kind of looks out after things there. They have been awesome. I spent hours on the phone with them. They have been taking care of the cats. They've been taking care of my cousin Mary, which means that my brother doesn't need to rush out there. There are angels in this world for sure, and Shanna and Shelley are 2 of them. Very grateful.
You want to do a stone? Anyone else? Then we always move a stone for people we don't say out loud, but we all have such concerns and hopefully such joys. This is for them. Some of you no doubt know that the prominent Vietnamese Buddhist leader Thich Nhat Hanh passed away at 95. And this is my meditation, his words that we have in the back of the hymnal. Let us be at peace with our bodies and our minds. Let us return to ourselves and become holy ourselves. Let us be aware of the source of being common to us all and to all living things. Evoking the presence of the great compassion, let us fill our hearts with our own compassion toward ourselves and toward all living beings. Let us pray that we ourselves cease to be the cause of suffering to each other. With humility, with awareness of the existence of life and of the sufferings that are going on around us, let us practice the establishment of peace in our hearts and on earth. Amen. That's our reading number 505, Thich Nhat Hanh. And now some moments of silence. And now the hymn is 123, Spirit of Life. We hum a verse, we sing a verse, masked, of course. In our discussions about how to have the safest possible place here, we haven't yet decided to pass out paper, as in the bulletin that most churches have known and lived by in the past. And even harder to say, we haven't decided yet to share coffee. So hopefully that'll come in the not too distant future. But we agreed we do have to pass the plate. You don't have to touch it. We hope you will be touched by our atmosphere enough to add something to it, because we need you to. So in gratitude, we ask you to share in gratitude. I'm sure this has been given in thankfulness. It certainly is received in thankfulness. And I always want to remind you that we are inviting any extra mile that people might have. Not our family. This is the family. They're also just beautiful to see. So now I found this video. As they say on TV, wait for it. And here it is. My sermon is entitled, Can We Leave Now? Thoughts on Extending Our Warranty. Several months ago, one of you commented, I think in our current events Zoom forum, that at your current age, you didn't expect to have too many years left. Several reactions converged in my head. Not on my watch, was one, but more forcefully and wishfully, we can't leave. We can't leave until we have fixed some things. You know, some big things, like global warming, and now some potentially fatal weaknesses in our democracy, and the massive income inequality and healthcare inequality in this land of great opportunity. I used to hold it as an article of faith that we had to leave the planet better than we found it. Great minds, from Pogo. You remember Pogo, the cartoon possum of Okefenokee Swamp. We have met the enemy and he is us. From Pogo to Al Gore and Greta and countless others, the planet is worse off than we found it. Weren't you told as a kid you aren't leaving your room until, you aren't leaving this table until, you aren't leaving your desk until? Friends, we have a rather daunting until. And until we have fixed it to beat all. Well, how long do we have? This next matter is not exactly on topic, but right now I'd like to play that soaring clip of Dr. King with his how long? Not long. Come on. How long? Not long. Now is that gift of speech called cadence or modulation? I don't know, but when I hear it, I feel like we are in another realm. How long? Not long. How can he say that when he knew the history of abuse and hurt, the history that lasted centuries, the history that has crept into our century now with such devious disguises, the history that some now say we are not to be made to feel guilty about. So for comfort's sake, let's not talk about it. Let's not teach about it. Guilt isn't appropriate in the sense of our owning to having done all that was hurtfully and brutally done. But guilt on our part is called for if we don't want to know what was done and don't want to see its continuing, lingering effects undone. So when we hear his how long, not long, we are feeling that moral universe he believed in, and hearing that, we can't settle for nothing we can do about that. We have to do something about that. It is now our history. We have to believe in whatever time we have, we can make it better. So that's where I started. How much time do we have left? That brings to mind another cartoon or joke, and you know I don't do jokes. One of my younger sisters in Troy, New York, I have two there, one of them put on Facebook something like, telegrams laid the groundwork, the intercontinental cable for modern telephonics. So the first telegram message between, I think, North America and Europe in 1844 by Samuel F.B. Morse was, I know you like to be tested on Sunday morning, what was the first message? What hath God wrought? We know that wasn't written by a UU, or it would have been, what hath something else wrought? Anyway, in this, see, I'm already messing up this joke. In the cartoon she posted, the second telegram was, your car's warranty is almost expired. Have you considered extending your car's warranty? Now, if you read those scam alerts, the latest scams to beware of, you read that the extend your car's warranty industry that barrages us is in good part scam. If we believe in not leaving until we have fixed some big things, well, that warranty issue is a mind bender. One of the definite challenges of advancing age is not to dwell on the extent, the terms of our warranty. Well, at this point, I had an intervention. I received an email from my good friend Truman, and it was so on topic, I have to read part of it to you, and if you want the rest of it, you have to let me know, and I'll email it. But it's Diana Butler Bass, a progressive theologian, her article entitled The Unwanted Anniversary, Remembering and Contemplating Democracy. God, that's a sobering thought, isn't it? Remembering democracy. This is her article, or part of it, a good part of it. It's really something. I've been thinking a lot about anniversaries this month. A few days ago, my husband Richard and I marked 25 years of marriage. The milestone prompted us to remember what was surprising and good in our time together, and to look ahead and consider what we'd like to do in the next decade or two. Anniversaries are like that, part memory exercise, part imagining the future. But that's not the only anniversary on my mind. I've also been thinking about the first anniversary of January 6th, the insurrection at the Capitol. It may seem odd to put these anniversaries together in this reflection, given one celebrates love and the other recalls a violent political event. But anniversaries, whether commemorating something joyous or painful, invite us into the same two movements, remembering what has been and considering what might be. I think of theologian Reinhold Niebuhr writing on the irony of American history, in effect, the irony of democracy in the early days of the Cold War. Now, this is Bass quoting Niebuhr. Our dreams of bringing the whole of human history under the control of the human will are ironically refuted by the fact that no group of idealists can easily move the pattern of history toward the desired goal of peace and justice. The recalcitrant forces in the historical drama have a power and persistence beyond our reckoning. Our own nation, always a vivid symbol of the most characteristic attitudes of a bourgeois culture, is less potent to do what it wants in the hour of its greatest strength than it was in the days of its infancy. The infant is more secure in his world than the mature man is in his wider world. The pattern of the historical drama grows more quickly than the strength of even the most powerful man or nation. Niebuhr would go on to say, meanwhile, we are drawn into a historic situation in which the paradise of our domestic security is suspended in a hell of global insecurity. Now remember, Niebuhr is writing about this, the Cold War. And the conviction of the perfect compatibility of virtue and prosperity, which we have inherited from both our Calvinist and our Jeffersonian ancestors, is challenged by the cruel facts of history. Well, that's end of Niebuhr, and Bass continues. He never imagined that the paradise of our domestic security would become paradise lost. That's why the first anniversary of January 6 is so significant. The cruel facts of history came home when armed Americans, deceived by an American president, destroyed a proud tradition of the peaceful transfer of power and attempted a coup to overturn the results of an election, all in a corrupted notion of actually saving democracy. January 6th proved there's no escaping the insecurity that roils the globe. There is no domestic paradise. There is no Kansas to go home to. Somebody stole the freaking ruby slippers. That's the magic pair worn by Dorothy in The Wizard. I had to look that up. And we're stuck in a brilliantly colored world with poison poppies and flying monkeys. We're going to have to figure out how to live here. Remembering democracy is more than nostalgia. It isn't a couple on their anniversary toasting their success saying, "Isn't it great? We did everything perfectly." No, remembering is a bittersweet task involving honesty, confession, regret, and the deep knowledge of how much we did wrong. And yet the central promise remains: love, commitment, partnership, building a life together, no matter what. Remembering democracy is like that. It is memory with layers of irony on ironies, while understanding that democracy is the only thing that can correct all the problems of democracy. Democracy is the only thing that can correct all the problems of democracy. The central promise remains. A polis, it's the Greek word for a community, a polis where every person really matters, building a society together no matter what. Diana Butler Bass, The Unwanted Anniversary. And if you want to read the rest of that, send me an email and I'll send you the whole thing. And again, thank you for coming. So the issue is not how long do we have. We can't know that. We don't want to know that unless a doctor tells us we have a disease and therefore not long, and you want to know to plan some final gifts of time or whatever. So the issue isn't how long we have, but what are we going to do with the time we have? And then we may not believe in angels, but some of us know we've been guided plenty by angels. I've had a number here in this congregation over my years, and a lot before here, but a number here I keep on mentioning and remembering and feeling guided by a lot more than I mention. Call them our better angels, as some historians like, or our guiding principles, as most you use like. Whatever our chalice flame sears into our conscience to remind us, don't let your comforts become all you are living for. Who doesn't like comforts? We could all name our epitome of comfort, but I think we would agree we don't want to be living for our comforts. I'll close with a quick biography of a friend I had in the Connecticut church. He became a prominent TV executive in Connecticut. He liked to tell the story of his humble beginnings, I think in Georgia. His family couldn't afford a TV when the TV first came out in the 40s or 50s. So they made a box with a square cutout. Now this kind of comes to mind. I think maybe that was a thing that many people did, or maybe they bought it as a toy. But it's a box with a square cutout, and you put a scroll on the top, on the inside of the box, and somebody turns the scroll, and the family watches as if, you know. So when he grew up, he knew he wanted a TV, a big one. And he also couldn't forget a gospel tune he heard as a kid, often in church. Others, Lord, yes, others, let this my motto be, as I have lived for others, so I have lived for thee. Those two tracks define his life. So whatever time we have, let's get to work. And the point of the congregation, we push each other to keep at it. When we might think we are done, you can be sure somebody here will say, but you're not. The closing hymn is number 95. There is more love somewhere. 4 verses, 95. And Ronnie will extinguish as I have these closing words. We want to make the most of our time. We want to feel good about what we have lived for. So we want to do all the good we can, and we help each other discover what that is. Now, after our postlude, please stay for water and cookies outside or wherever. And also, we're to have a worship associate meeting up toward the front here right after the service.
The postlude today is also from this album called Zero Church by Susie and Maggie Roach. And I'm going to read you a little introduction. The tune is called Anyway, written by Maggie and Susie. And this is a quote from the album notes. We were told that this prayer was written by Mother Teresa and inscribed on the wall of her orphanage in Calcutta. However, Sister M. Nirmala M.C. at the Missionaries of Charity in Calcutta wrote to us and said that she did not write this prayer. Another source said that this poem was found by Mother Teresa's bedside when she died. Written in her own handwriting, it remains a mystery to us. It's called Anyway.
People are often unreasonable, illogical, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some false friends and some true enemies. Succeed anyway. Succeed anyway.
If you are honest and fair, people may cheat you.
Be honest and frank. Anyway, what you spend years building, someone could destroy overnight. Build anyway. Build anyway, yeah. With your personality and happiness, they may be around. Be happy anyway. What you do today, people will never forget. Tomorrow, do good anyway. Do good anyway. Give all the best you have. It may never be enough. Give all the best you got. Anyway, you'll see in the final analysis, it is between